Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Michael Capio, and today I'm going to show you how to make a before-after picture. You may want to do this for your website or for your office to open up and show patients samples of your work. You may want to do it for uploading online to Facebook or you name it. Anytime you want to see a before-after photo. So the software that I'm going to use today is a free software. It's a Photoshop-like software called Pixlr. It is available on the web. It is web-based. So I'm going to assume that you know nothing about it, and I'm going to go get it right now. So I'm going to close this up, open up a web browser, and in Google you could type Pixlr editor, and let's go get it here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually get my course sample photos. So this is a photo. Okay, this was taken with a DSLR camera. Let me just make some comments on the photo. The photo is taken from the left lateral side, and I framed the lips here and the smile and just a little bit more. This is something that patients can understand. If we're too zoomed in, it becomes very dental, and when we zoom out, it becomes a little bit easier for the patients to understand. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I don't want to work with such a large file size coming from a DSLR, is resize the image. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go Image, Size, and cut down the size. I'm going to arbitrarily do this to 1/4, all right? And it'll constrain the proportions so the thing doesn't get distorted. Okay, so now the file size is going to be smaller, and just the raw image size when you zoom in and zoom out on a different program will be less. Okay, so 1,000 seems pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is make the canvas size more. Okay, so 667. Let's figure out how much 667 by 2 is. And where is my calculator? It's 1334. Okay, so okay, and what I'm doing is just I'm anchoring the top corner, the top left corner, so that it'll stay static, and watch what happens now. Okay, so what happens is it creates an equal amount of canvas space at the bottom so that where we put our after picture will be the same. It brings up a good point that we would like our image to be about the same size and shot the same way in a before-after. If you shoot it at a different size or you shoot it at some kind of different crazy angle, then your before-after won't look as nice. So keep that in mind when you're taking the photos themselves. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is there's a number of ways that you can open your image again. And I'm going to open up or bring the image into this thing. So I'm going to open up the after sample, and it's coming out at another, in another window. Okay, so see that there's two separate windows. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is make our file then the same size. Let's do that to start. You may have to do some playing around, but let's do the 1667 again. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is copy that. You could use your keyboard shortcuts just like Microsoft Word, but for all practical purposes, I want to teach you Pixlr. I'm going to select the marquee tool, they call it. okay, and then drag, get the whole image, edit, copy, okay, go back to our other window, and then edit, paste. Okay, and now this is going to teach a couple different concepts here. All right, now your image is here, but it's in the wrong spot. Okay, over here in the layers panel, you'll see that you can turn off and on the photo that you just brought in. Okay, you could even label them by double clicking on this. You could put after. Okay, and then the before is actually the background, since that's the original image that we worked with. So let's take the after, okay, and go to this move tool, and then we can either grab it like this with the mouse and move it around. Also, to fine tune, we can press the arrow. What I'm doing is pressing the arrow, up and down arrow, on my keyboard. Okay, tap, 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 just to fine tune it. Okay. Let's get that into the right spot. Now check that out. This is cool. It actually created a little white line there in the back, and sometimes you'll want that. Sometimes you'll, depending on personal preference, you might want it just like this, where the two photos are butted up against each other. Okay. I can tell it's not completely perfect in terms of the alignment. So what we could do, if you were super picky, you know, we could have been done just there, but let's just say if we were super picky and we wanted the photos like lined up from top to bottom like this. And also another comment I can make is my after photo was shot just a little bit smaller. So why don't we go ahead and I'll show you how to make that a little bit larger so it's about the same. Let's be on the after layer, and then we'll go edit, free transform. And I'm going to grab this and we can just make this a little bit larger. Actually, that brings up a nice issue as well. It's getting distorted. So wait, let's not accept the changes there. The way to combat that is to actually hold down the Shift key. If you hold down the Shift key and do the edit, free transform, what it will do is it'll constrain the proportions so that it doesn't distort. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is line it up a little bit better. Edit, free transform again. Sorry about that. I'm going to move it as close as I can to where I want it, and then accept. And now apply the changes. Okay. Now it left a little weird white line here. Let's see if we could minimize that. And what I'll do is actually crop the entire image to get rid of that white line on the bottom there. Okay. Now another way we can add a white line between the two, or any colored line for that matter, let's say we wanted to divide them, we could take the marquee tool, add a new layer so it comes above these two images. Okay, and we could draw a thin box. Okay, and that thin box is on the top of our two images, and I'm going to choose the paint bucket tool. Okay, and I'll put the paint bucket tool to white. And I'll paint bucket in there. Okay? and then I'll take the marquee tool and click on the screen and it's off. And how I'm zooming in and zooming out is with the mouse. Now that one turned out a little bit thick, so I could do edit, free transform again, and kind of make that thing a little thinner, okay? However thick or thin that you want it. And then click a different tool, accept the changes. Okay, so we're almost done here. Somebody may want to add their name to the photo so that some other dentist doesn't claim that they did your work. Okay, so to do this, you choose the text tool, or they call it type tool here. Click anywhere on the screen, because you can move it later, and type your name. Okay, if you'd like, you could experiment and bump up the font, try some different fonts. Okay, and sometimes I've found that I like it right in the middle of the image. Sometimes I like it at the bottom of the image. You could import your office logo if you have that in a transparent GIF format of some sort. Notice that text comes out on a different layer as well. The ordering of layers kind of matters, because if you put it under one of the layers, like say if I put that under the after, it would show up under. So you want to make sure that your text is above all the layers. Okay, and then finally, you might be thinking, okay, this is great. If you were to save this now, let's do File, Save. The best way to use it for yourself here is to choose a JPEG. You could bump up and down the quality depending on the purpose. If you wanted to email this to someone, you might want to make it smaller. I'll arbitrarily choose 40 here. Okay, right down in the middle, it shows that it's 93 kilobytes. And you can name it before, after sample. Anything you want. And let's see what they have here. Okay, and save it. Okay, and now your image is usable. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial about how to make a before-after sample in dentistry.